Good morning. Good morning. I'll give it a couple more minutes and we'll get started. So we'll just give it a few seconds for people to jump on. And we'll jump into today's content. We're going to do a quick video recapping High Tide's earnings. So sit tight and we'll jump right into it here in just a second. All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to get started in just a second. So just give it a couple more seconds here for people to join. All right, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, March 2nd, and this is a review for March 1st. So we had High Tide earnings come out this morning, so we're going to go over those numbers here. We'll review the revenue and EPS and other facts of that sheet. So stick around. I'm just getting one last thing open here. All right, so we'll jump right into it. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for an MJ Sector review. And as I mentioned, this is a review for March 1st. So we'll jump right into it. And we had earnings from High Tide. Yesterday they said ISP issues, so internet issues. But here we go. We just received confirmation that High Tide reports 2020 financial results featuring 166% increase in revenue and record adjusted EBITDA of $8 million. So congrats to the Bulls. Looks like we're up here pre-market. So we'll go over this earnings document and the results, and then we'll look at the overall news and events in the sector, and then we'll look at the High Tide chart, some individual names in both the Canadian and the US sectors. So before we jump into today's content, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. So High Tide finally came out with they tweeted out last night saying that there was internet service provider issues based on high demand. That seemed a little odd to me, but nonetheless, here we go. So they finally came out with their results this morning, and the company will host a conference call to discuss their results at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time this morning. So that's coming up here. Actually, that would have already passed. That would be 9:30. So actually coming up right now, 8:30. So it'd be in 7 minutes. Or no, an hour and 7 minutes. Yeah, I'm all messed up here. I'm on MST, so. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to be joining that conference call, but there should be details here at the bottom. You can go and check that out. Company conference call details are follows. Yeah, there you go. So toll-free dial-in number. So if you want to dial in, you can dial in there. All right, so let's take a look at the numbers. So revenue increased 118% to $24.9 million in the fourth quarter of 2020, and by 166% to $83.3 million for the year ended October 31st, 2020. Note that the quarter does not include any contribution from Meta Growth Corp, the acquisition of which closed subsequent to the end of the quarter. Okay, so that's notable. Gross profit increased 112% to $8.7 million in the fourth quarter of 2020, by 172% to $30.8 million for the year ended October 31st, 2020. Gross profit to fourth quarter was 35%. So adjusted EBITDA for the fourth quarter was $3.6 million, and $8 million for the year ended October 31, 2020. So in terms of revenue, we came in at a beat. They came in at 24.876 million. So we were forecasting 24.75. So it came in at a slight beat, not by much, but a slight beat nonetheless. And EPS came in at 0.01. And we didn't have any estimates on that one, but last year's EPS was negative 0.017. So we'll consider that a beat as well. But in my opinion, the numbers are good here this morning. And just taking a look at the stock in the pre-market here on the ask and the bid, we're sitting at 590. So we are seeing a bit of a higher open here this morning. But again, we're going to want to see that in regular trading hours. A lot can happen between now and then as well. But let's take a look at the rest of the details here. So geographically, in the fourth quarter of 2020, 20.6 million of revenue was earned in Canada, 4.1 million in the United States, and 2 million internationally. For the year ended October 31st, 2020, 68.4 million revenue was earned in Canada, and 14.3 million in the United States, 6 million internationally. Segment-wise, in the fourth quarter of 2020, 22.6 million of revenue was generated by retail, 2.2 million by wholesale, an immaterial amount by corporate. For the year ended October 31st, 2020, 75 million of revenue was generated by retail, 7.9 million by wholesale, and 4 million by corporate, which compares to 24 million, 6.69 million, and 0.6 million respectively for the previous year. Cash on hand as of October 31st, 2020 totaled 7.9 million. The company's cash balance has subsequently increased to approximately 38 million as of today. Company's cash balance has subsequently increased to approximately 38 million. Okay. Despite the global slump in retail sales associated with the issue at hand, and thanks to the tireless efforts of our team, we closed the year approximately 8 million in adjusted EBITDA, making 2020 the best year in High Tide's history. So that's exciting to see. And congrats to the bulls who are invested in the company. So in August 2020, the company opened a Canna Cabana location in popular year-round tourist destination in Banff, Alberta. In October 2020, Metagrowth shareholders overwhelmingly approved the High Tide's acquisition of Metagrowth, understanding the strong bond in the company's brand. Over 50% of the company's brick-and-mortar revenue during the fiscal quarter from Cabana Club members. So we'll skim through the rest of this here. Company's common shares moved to the TSX Venture Exchange. Something worth of note as well, the company submitted an initial application to list on the NASDAQ stock market. So if you didn't know about that, that's a pretty big deal. Company extended maturity date to 10 million credit facility with Windsor Capital to December 31st, 2020. So it looks like they got a little bit of leeway there on their debt. Company entered into a loan agreement of 6.7 million maturing in December 31st, 2024. Yada, yada, yada. Company entered into an agreement to acquire all issued and outstanding shares of Smoke Cartel Inc. for 8 million. And so here's their numbers here. So the revenue came in at 24.876. So we had a beat on revenue, and EPS improved from last year. And if we take a look at their same earnings this time last year, was only 11.4 million. So we're up over 10 million from those levels. So there's the numbers, adjusted EBITDA. We have the loss per share. So webcast details are there as well if you want to join in. And if you are joining us late here in the live stream this morning, you can refresh and check out the high results. But essentially they beat on revenue, beat on EPS. Well, there was no estimate for EPS, but beat on last year's numbers and EBITDA of 8 million. So we'll move on. We'll take a look. MediPharm Labs raised 20 million selling units at 58 cents. So a little bit of dilution there. We also saw that cannabis-infused beverages sales up 40%, helped by consumers seeking convenient products and just not looking for other alternatives to smoking flower, essentially. Sales of Canadian cannabis edibles and extracts fall for the first time. I wonder if that's a coincidence. Likely not. I would say money likely rotating out of the edibles and extracts into the cannabis-infused beverages. So, like I said, sitting here in the pre-market, High Tide was sitting at about about I think it was 90. Let me take a look here. See what we're sitting at currently. I think I just realized I had the wrong ticker earlier. So we're sitting at 95, not 590. Sitting at 95. Just realized when I brought up the chart that I said 590 earlier. I was looking at HITIF. HITIF earnings are this morning too, and it is still early, so bear with me. So high tide here sitting pre-market at the bid in the ask, 95 cents. Not 590, 95 cents. So we closed the day yesterday at 93. So again, we can't really go by the pre-market data yet. We still got hours until the open. So we still got 2 hours until the open here. So a lot can happen between now and then, but we don't have any resistance until 113. So that could be a target of interest here this morning. Based on those numbers, we should expect a decent reaction to that. And let's just take a look at SPY here. So SPY, see how we're opening 389, so we're pretty much flat. The dollar pulling back a little bit here, so that should give high tide bulls the opportunity to run if the market likes these numbers, which they're basically, it's a beat, but they didn't come in with an absolute blowout. The stock ran over 20% yesterday. So whether or not we can keep going, I say we could probably test $1 or just get above $1 and maybe we pull back. I can't see us breaking right through the 113 and based on those numbers, but we'll see. I could be wrong, but I think there's going to be strong resistance at just above $1, and then 113 obviously going to be extremely important after that, and that is also our all-time high. And we had support here at 56 on the weekly. On the daily time frame, again 56, so it's a long ways down any daily support. So we'll zoom in and we'll take a look at the hourly and see what we have here for hourly during regular trading hours. So there's not really much on the hourly either. They ran this thing right into the end of the day and didn't really give much opportunity. So just be cautious of a sell the news type of event. If we do start to pull back at $1 or just over $1, just know that we could pull back quite significantly. On the hourly, we don't have any hourly support really until a 20% drop. So we'll take a look at the 15-minute here. So 15-minute EMA 12 is going to be a nice visual guide here, this yellow line. So if we were to lose that, that would be notable. So that's sitting at around 89 cents. So taking a look at the weekly chart, we're still well above the 10-week moving average. The stochastic cross bearish, but it's looking to potentially cross again bullish. And the MACD is still extremely bullish as well. On the moving averages, we had a bull cross of the 50 and the 100, now the 50 and the 200. So we could see a lot more upside here on this stock based on those moving averages. And on the daily, we're still well above the 50, which is down at, sorry, that's HITIF. Why do I keep doing that? These tickers are just so similar. Bear with me here. High tide. There we go. Yeah, I thought that didn't look right. So thanks. There we go. Thanks for battling that out with me. So on the weekly moving averages, we have the 50 crossing through the 100. So I was on the right track, just hadn't happened yet. So we have the moving averages down at 27 and 25 cents. On the daily moving averages, we're still well above the 50, down at 50 cents. So just be cautious on this name here this morning. We also had a weekly higher low, which was down at, like I said, at that support level of 56 cents. So we had that weekly higher low. We dipped below the weekly VWAP, but we ultimately held. So that was a great entry. If you didn't enter there, like I said, you're chasing at this point. We have resistance, an all-time high at 113. We're closer to resistance than we are support. And like I said, we didn't absolutely blow those numbers out of the water. It's definitely good numbers and nice to see that they had one of their best quarters in history. But we'll need to see a little bit more follow through and a break over $1 here this morning, in my opinion. or we risk a sell the news type of event. So on the bear list yesterday, we had PWR, TGOD, and NSP was flat. On the bull list, we had High Tide running into earnings, PCLO, N, CGC, VFF, and Cron. So we were basically just tracking the overall S&P 500 yesterday. So CGC broke its daily inside bars, so that's what we were watching. We had tons of inside bars all around, and a lot of names still in that daily inside bar. A couple broke bullish out of those inside bars, but ultimately ended up back within. So we'll see if we can break the high of yesterday first thing today and maintain those hourly uptrends. As long as SPY maintains its hourly uptrend and we see lots of strength in SPY, we should see a decent bounce today in MJ as well. So we'll take a look at the US sector. So US, the MSOS ETF that tracks all the big cannabis companies in the US. We had a fairly big daily bounce yesterday, but we ended up with an upper wick, and profit taking ended up closing below EMA 12. So that was a little bit of a red flag. We had a mini resistance here at 5108, and we hit as high as 5070, and we are in a daily downtrend, and this could be a potential daily lower high being set. But let's just take a look at the hourly chart, the extended hours off here. So we did have a mini higher low into a higher high, but not really enough of a clear pullback, so I wouldn't really consider that an hourly uptrend. But at this point now we're searching for that hourly higher low. So if we break resistance here at 5061, I would confirm that an hourly uptrend and the daily higher low is set. And we need to break the high of yesterday first thing today to be confident that the daily bounce is underway or is still continuing. And then we have all-time high resistance up at 5591. So taking a look at the bull and bear list, we had KBEV, MMEN, VREO leading the decline yesterday. On the bull list, we had GRWG, NBEV, and BAM. So again, I was going to do a video yesterday, and I was waiting for High Tide earnings, and a few other things came up. So I figured I'd just wait and do it here this morning. But nice numbers to hopefully help the sector a little bit. We can use all the help we can get at the moment. But Curaleaf, same deal. We broke the high of the previous day. Daily bounce is underway. So we need to maintain hourly uptrends. That's going to be key here on most names. If we lose the hourly uptrends, or if we set hourly uptrends, then our daily higher lows are set. Not all names have confirmed hourly uptrends, just like we saw on MSOS. So Trulieve, very similar to MSOS, saw a daily inside bar, bull break, and then profit taking and an upper wick. But difference here is we closed right on EMA 12. So we'll see if we see any weakness here today in the US sector. It is looking like it is a bit weaker than the Canadian sector here. And one thing of note as well was the volume yesterday. So we'll just zoom in on. So we did have a little bit of mix of both, so not a whole lot of sell volume here. Nothing really to be worried about. That was just a fairly strong day. So from the lows here, I actually entered a position on MSOS in the 46s. It was around the 4660s or 4670s. So from that low to the high of the day yesterday, we were up about 8%. Almost 9%. So likely just some profit taking going into the end of the day. SPY hadn't formed any hourly high or low in a while as well. So that'll be important here. Taking a look at SPY. So we're sitting at 389.09 still. So we're essentially flat. So again, if you are just joining us, we're just wrapping up the stream here. And High Tide came in with their 2020 Q4 results. They beat on revenue just barely. And we're still sitting at 95 cents here pre-market. So again, if you did join us late, make sure to rewind the video. But essentially they beat on revenue. We were expecting, let's see here, 24.75, and it came in at 24.876, and loss per share was 0.01 on the EPS. And like I said, we didn't have any estimates for that, but last year's EPS was negative 0.017. So that's going to be it for me, I believe today. Like I said, we have HITIF earnings coming out as well. That's completely unrelated to MJ. I understand that. I did confuse that ticker in this video, which is why I'm mentioning it. So I got both of those on my watch list here this morning. And it's just after 5:30 a.m. here on the West Coast. So hopefully everyone had a fantastic morning and is having a fantastic morning. And hope you have a great trading day ahead. So thanks for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for a live stream of the MJ Sector review for yesterday, March 1st. If anybody has any questions, I'll let you drop them in the chat here. But I'm pretty much going to wrap things up, and I'm going to jump off here in a couple of minutes if nobody has any questions for today. So again, we'll be watching the overall broader market here this morning. We'll be watching the reaction to high tide and whether or not we see a sell the news event. We'll be watching $1 psychological and $1.13, which is all-time highs. So it's going to be an interesting morning. Like I said, SPY could be due for some hourly consolidation. It is opening a little bit weaker here this morning, but not by much. So we'll see if there's any follow through on that front. But we're going to end it there. So once again, thanks for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and let me know in the comments what you think of high tide earnings. Were you expecting more? Were you expecting less? Love to hear from you. So hope everyone has a great day today, and we'll see you a little bit later on for a daily market recap. Take care, everybody.